Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please...
Peter Carey. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Le...
Has the investigation...
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so...
Give me half an hour to prepare.
Take your time and join me there.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several...
I shall go alone, then. My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
You go along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
My archive.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
I cannot leave yet. I am not finished here. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
These footprints appear to be quite large. It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious.
As soon as we can. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the...
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time you...
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open. But at around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
Was your husband...
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you...
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be...
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took...
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool. What a terrible way to die. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. Harpoons for hunting whales. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from... Hammerfest. Dundee. It's a whaling map. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book. A box or a small chest, perhaps. The ship's... The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded. Someone drank from this glass recently. Someone drank from this glass recently. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work. This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture. Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seemed that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death. This wooden handle is plain and solid. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook. The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death. These abbreviations mean something, but what? Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. Aha! Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky,
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us. These boots don't match the footprints.
Mr. Holmes?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
We need to find a good place for an ambush. Perhaps behind Carey's cabin, near the window.
Mr. Holmes?
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there.
Mr. Holmes?
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector, but please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning. Locked. Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan. The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
Well, I will see you soon, young man. I need to stage a reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Mr. Holmes?
Locked. These are the suspect's belongings. To my friend, from R. Dawson. And partner, 1883. Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. These abbreviations mean something, but what? These abbreviations... handkerchief with the initials JHN. These abbreviations mean something. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner. So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, As a little boy, you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Mr. Holmes?
A spot of whaling, Watson? Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No. But we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's...
A reenactment, then?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why?
Peter Carey attempted to...
It is possible. But if that is the case...
I don't quite follow you.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man, morphologically, I mean?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before. On the Ripper case, I believe.
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a well-fed pig.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do quite nicely. I need to take a harpoon with me. That should do it. Now I...
Well, Here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a head.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise, yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test. The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through. Holmes, the harpoon.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing.
Mr. Holmes.
Locked. Locked. These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket. These abbreviations mean something, but what?
Mr. Holmes?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes?
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 18...
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
These footprints appear to be quite large. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful. That is not the one I need. Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story. But I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. This is where I keep my post. I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan...
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing.
These are the suspect's belongings. These abbreviations means... "1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. Log notes for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. A torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign. Something I have...
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland...
I doubt it, Watson. And really...
And who might they be?
This...
Ah, you mean young...
Yeah, those...
How...
There is... Watson, I need Wiggins. Is he anywhere nearby?
He's right across the street.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire. My analysis table. It is useful for my work. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful. My archive. I can always... My archive. Watson, I need Wiggins. Is he anywhere nearby?
He's right across the street. You can give him a sign from the window.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list. You can read, can't you?
Big Oliver from our gang. He can, because his father is the coachman of a famous lawyer.
Fascinating. Here is the list of sailors.
Sailors? Easy. Just got to look where the rum and the red lights are.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you.
As always. What happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this...
Interesting.
Well, the constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual...
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with...
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow...
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room. At your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking. These are the suspect's belongings. Liam Hurtley's old boots. They're a size 9.5. The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals. A pen. Nothing unusual about it.
How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes? Do you have...
Please escort this suspect for Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I would like to ask you a few questions.
I've already told the police that I've nothing to say. And you're not even part of the...
Precisely. And considering your situation, it might be wise to speak with someone who is, shall we say, rather more neutral. You are a suspect in a murder case.
I know. Inspector List...
Could you at least tell me who you are, and exactly what happened that you should be brought...
My name is Liam Hurtley. That I can tell you.
Well, we... That's all for now.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
These boots match the footprints exactly. Does the name Liam Hurtley...
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing?
please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Never mind. Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
The second pair of boots that you had with you when you were arrested perfectly match the footprints found near the cabin where Peter Carey...
Footprints? That's your proof? How many men have boots like mine? That...
Now that your presence at Woodman's Lee has been proven, would you care to explain it?
I don't remember. What would I be doing there anyway?
Because you are the gardener at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not.
I observed your hands. They told me that you work with the earth. Small fragments of plants snagged to your trousers indicate that you are mowing, but the most obvious clue presented itself in the bird embroidered on your handkerchief, a crested tip.
All right, you got me. Yes, I am a gardener, and I went there.
That's all for now.
What am I doing here?
How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes?
These are the suspects. These are the suspect's belongings. I wonder if these are connected. Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however. The case is solved. I am now...
So tell me, who killed Black...
It was John Nelligan, Inspector.
I thought as much, but I
Revenge, Inspector. Black Peter possessed the bond certificates that had belonged to Nelligan's father, and young Nelligan wished to...
Well then, I'll arrest this Nelligan. I don't fancy his chances...
I will accompany you, Inspector. John Nelligan, it was you who killed Black Peter. You attempted to convince him to return the bond certificates, and Peter Carey was drunk. He drew his knife. In panic, you took the harpoon and made your lucky throw in self-defense.
No, I didn't kill any...
You better thank Mr. Holmes for saving your neck, Nelligan.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return...
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Good...
These are these are brief. This is where I keep my archive. I can always consult with it if needed. I need to prepare a chemical agent that is capable of removing fresh ink. For this purpose, the chemicals from the flask. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. I need to prepare a chemical agent that is capable of removing fresh ink. For this purpose, I need to prepare a chemical. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from... No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction. First condition, all 7 reagents. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. No, something isn't... No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. Done. Now I can proceed further. Let us see if the content of this letter sheds a little light upon the mystery. I did as you asked and hid them well. Interesting. How would Hurtley react to this? please escort this suspect for interrogation. So tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what did you hide?
Hide? What are you talking about?
I did as you asked and hid them well. Should I continue?
My letter? But the ink? That's impossible.
A touch of chemistry, nothing special.
Well, you're a smart one. But it's nothing. If you want to know, I was referred...
I will check that, Mr. Hurtley. That's all for now. Hurtley's stories are false leads. But now I know one thing for certain. I must examine the site where the garden tools are kept. Madam, we have information that the valuable stolen papers are hidden amongst the garden tools here at Woodman's Lee. We need to find them.
Oh my. Our tools are kept inside the shed that's right behind me. Here is the key to open it.
Thank you, madam. Let's see what could be hidden here. Let us see what is in this box. A bundle of letters in a woman's hand with the Carey family monogram. Hurtley and Mrs. Carey were in a relationship. Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Mrs. Carey, we found your letters.
My letters? I asked Liam to return them to me. I wanted to burn them.
Why did Mr. Hurtley put them inside the garden shed?
I don't know. I wanted them back, but I couldn't see him, not after what happened.
Well, here they are.
Oh, this is terrible. terrible. Liam, how could he? After what he has done.
You believe that he killed your husband?
No, I do not know. I do not know. Leave me alone, please.
Thank you, madam. I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors. The case is solved. I am now...
So tell me.
There are two culprits, Inspector.
What? Well, I would never...
It was a combination of two motives.
What were their motive?
The first was revenge. Black Peter possessed the bond certificates that had belonged to Nell.
And the second?
The second was a crime of passion. Liam Hurtley was in love with Black Peter.
Well, well, well.
I suggest that you organize a small confrontation between the two.
That's a good idea, Mr. Holmes. I'll talk to these Gentlemen, we know everything about your association to kill Black Peter. Admit that you planned it.
Our association? I don't even know this man.
You needed to kill Peter Carey.
Ridiculous.
All that remains is to determine the level of guilt. Which one of you is the initial?
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened me. He's the mastermind behind...
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Inspector, I believe that Nelligan is the true culprit. Hurtley was his accomplice, blinded by his love for Peter.
You've got it wrong. It isn't true.
That's right. I confess.
Well, young man, it turns out you are the gang leader. I don't fancy your chances now.
The case is resolved, Inspector.
Very well, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, we found the sailors from that list.
Well done, Wiggin. This is interesting. Let us review the other sailors now. This is interesting. This man is a harpooner, and his initials are PC, the same initials that were found. Wiggins, could you gather some information on one of the sailors that you found?
We found Patrick Cairns.
Good job, Wiggins.
He lives in a small furnished dump of a room, but he's always at the Sea Witch pub.
Excellent. Here is your...
Thank you, sir.
If I wish to speak to Cairns without alarming him, I had better dress as a sailor. Now I can approach Cairns and see if... Hello there. Are you Cairns?
What do you want?
We've heard all about the gambling and arm wrestling here. You seem like the likely...
I start at 10 shilling.
Suits me.
That's the arm that killed a
I'm ready to try again.
Fine, if you want me to take all your money.
I'm ready.
Fine. You were lucky. I wasn't focused. Let's go again.
I've had enough.
Come back later, when you can use your arms again.
I'm ready to try again.
Fine. If you want me to take all your... Well, good for you, I reckon. You're stronger than you look. Here's your 10 shillings.
I'd like to buy you a drink.
Good winner as well. That's good. Let's have a drink. You're a good type. Seems you've managed to settle down in life. You've got money, eh?
Not all that much.
Oh, well. At least you're not as poor as me.
Why do you say poor? You're not working?
I'm a harpooner. But you see, the whalers are rare. They don't pay much. So, as a result, I find myself arm wrestling to pay for my drink.
A harpooner? Interesting. You've had a lot of adventures, I bet.
Of course. It's been a dozen years since I've sailed. I've seen everything. Old Wallace, damn Black Peter, Great Roger. We sailed to the Cape of Good Hope.
Black Peter, you say? I've heard rumors about that one.
He was the worst of them all. He was a liar, and violent too. Swinging those fists of his around. He was a tyrant, and not much of a captain. At least, not as good as Great Roger.
I see. Yes. I was told terrible tales about Black Peter.
But you ain't heard the word.
Tell me, and let's have another drink.
It was in 1883 that it happened. The August of that year. Peter Carey was captain of the... One evening, we saw a little craft that had been blown north. There was only one man on her. The crew must have thought that she had foundered, and they made for the Norwegian coast in the dinghy. I guess they all drowned.
And who was he?
I don't know. During the crossing, he and the skipper enjoyed some long talks. His baggage was just a tin box.
That's strange enough.
Aye. Even stranger was that on the second night, he disappeared.
You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I saw the skipper tie his heels and push him over the rail in the middle of my watch on that dark night. 2 days before we sighted the Shetland lights.
Black Peter's a murderer.
Aye. Those that know him wouldn't be surprised to hear it. But all this must stay between us. All right?
Of course. Back in a second. I'm off to the Ghazi.
I'll be here with my drink.
Here it is. Have you got any tobacco? I've run out of mine.
Nah, I lost my pouch. I don't know where. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, is this your tobacco pouch?
Well, oh, it is.
Well, I have to go now. I know a captain who's planning an expedition to Cape Cod. Captain Ahab's his name. He commanded the Pequod. He might need good...
Maybe.
I'm done here. It's time to leave.
Care to lose another 10 shillings?
Leave me alone, please.
You met Patrick Cairns, the half...
My analysis table. It is useful for my work. The
Gentlemen? Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes? Well, young man, it turns out you are the gang leader. I don't fancy your chances now.
The
How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes?
I'm not saying...
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find in...
I was trying to find some information about my father.
Tell...
I was trying to find some information about my father.
I assume you had another purpose, to retrieve the bond certificates. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine, these papers, they belong to my family.
That's all for now. Well, I will see you soon, young man.
I'm not...
What am I doing here?
The case... It was...
That doesn't...
He was in love with...
I see.
Liam Hurtley. It was you who killed Black Peter. He learned of your relationship, then began the quarrel. He drew his knife, and in self-defense, you took up the harpoon. Lestrade...
I deny everything. You have no proof.
Calm down and thank your stars that Mr. Holmes just saved your...
The case is resolved, Inspector.
Very well, Mr. Holmes.
The...
Gentlemen? Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes? Well, young man, it turns out you are the gang leader. I don't fancy your chances now.
The case...
This trip to the countryside will be good for you, Holmes. As your friend, and fresh air, brisk walks, bird watching, chopping wood.
Sound?
But you haven't...
He is a bee lover.
A bee lover? Do you mean that that must be Mrs. Hudson?
There is someone to see you, Mr. Holmes.
I have no time. Send whoever it is away.
Yes, Holmes, I really think we ought to leave now.
Mycroft.
Sherlock.
Oh, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps you don't remember me. I'm Dr. Watt. I documented our encounter in a short story I gave the title.
He does remember you, Watson. My brother remembers everything, and that is why he is so valuable.
We're about to depart for the train station. You know?
Sherlock, I need your help.
Need.
I wrote people.
Everything is about politics.
Sherlock, do please think about it. They are planning something diabolical. Your country needs you.
You need me, Mycroft, and you are...
Mrs. Hudson, tea will not be necessary. Doctor...
My archive. I can always consult with it, if needed.
Holmes, please call a cab while I pack my suitcase. We shall be late for the train.
Look after me. Watson, I'll hold a cab for us. We leave in 5 minutes.
What a gloomy night. It was warmer inside the waiting hall.
Since this...
Yes. I'll take your bags and your blasted archive suitcase. But, Holmes, the headlight. It's faded away.
Something is wrong. I can't hear any sound from the incoming train.
Excuse me, sir. Can you explain what has happened?
I don't know. It's as if the train vanished into thin air.
Holmes, say something.
Quick, fetch a lantern and let us take a look.
It's too dark. Only fog and rails, nothing else.
There is no use in stumbling around here at night. We will come back tomorrow. Well, here we are again at Evesham Station. We have a full day ahead.
Trains can't just vanish without... This is the place where we saw the train vanish last night.
Railway sleepers. Nothing unusual. A discarded item, possibly thrown. There are no tracks or footprints on the ground. The rails have not been touched. There's nothing unusual here. There are no signs to indicate that the train ran off the track, nor are there any other traces. There are no clues. But then, a negative...
Oh, I see what you're getting at. No clues, and you're smiling.
Yes, Watson, I do smile on occasion. This investigation won't be simple. We shall require a map of the...
Perhaps the station master could lend us one.
Good morning. Allow me to introduce my...
Yes, I remember you. I'm Station Master Everett. You were here last night.
I shall indeed.
It is extraordinary that an entire train could disappear like that. And to...
Could you please give us any...
Well, there was nothing so very special about it. At least not that I... However, if you need it, you can have the train composition.
I would be glad to have a
But of course, please, take the one that's pinned...
See you later, my good man. Railway post bags. This map will be... An old locomotive bell. This part is probably from... This place serves as a storage area for... This part is probably from a locomotive.
whole train just disappeared. It's unbelievable. A new telegram.
I think we should meet this Mr. Robinson. Here is the train set. A telegraph. According to the train composition report,
That's a highly secure car, ordered by a private... Those wagons have iron walls, you know, without any windows. And they're fitted...
that is important information. Do you know what was inside?
Certainly not. No, that's private. And it's not my responsibility.
Was there anything exceptional about any of the passengers aboard the train?
What do you mean? Like officials? I would... Oh, but now that you mention it, yes, there was something.
That is interesting. You mentioned a problem at Bridlington Station. I should like to visit.
Of course. It's a suburban railway station.
See you later, my good man.